So I'll be honest with you, when I finished my degree, I thought I was going to go in management at BC Hydro. And I had an opportunity to become a job steward because the department, customer service, or the call center in Surrey didn't have any union representation. So I decided to become a job steward because I thought it was going to give me a great networking opportunity. And more than 20 years later, here I am.
My first impression, Gwenny always looks so serious whenever you see her, and she looks kind of intense a lot of the times. And one of the things that I came to learn and appreciate even more is the meticulous attention to detail that she has when planning organizational events.
It's interesting to see someone starting off just as a BC Hydro kind of person, an electricity kind of person, and really expand her knowledge and her interests and her contributions beyond that to the entire labor movement.
Take Back the Power campaign that I was, I believe, an integral part of, and where I started my traveling for the first time, where I would spend weeks on end on the road, going out to various community events and organizations and anywhere that would allow me to speak on the issue of protecting BC Hydro and what privatizing the generation of hydro was doing, not just financially to the company and the ratepayers, but what was doing to our environment and our ecosystem.
There was a million things happening every day. We were touring the province, we were doing news releases, we were at the Utilities Commission, we were working our membership, we were working with allies, we were working across the country, we were working across the continent, and we were working internationally.
In British Columbia, we still have a public utility, BC Hydro, that manages all of our electricity resources for the benefit of British Columbians, not for the benefit of private shareholders somewhere else. And we owe a lot of the credit to that to Gwenny herself.
As you know, we go to budget lockup every year. So we get locked in the rooms with all of those papers. She was the one that discovered the massive deferral accounts. Oh. There was a decade there when nothing was reviewed, where billions of dollars were committed, and there was only a few lone voices, and on the financial side, Gwenny was the one. She was the one that found stuff. Every year in the budget documents, she'd dig deeper.
Negotiations with the OPEIU. And there was a group of us that had gone to Chicago. The lawsuit was coming up in October of 2007. So I, of course, had just been elected as Secretary Treasurer. And we went down to negotiate, and Michael Goodwin, the president of the OPEIU, was not exactly there to negotiate. As a matter of fact, he advised us he was increasing the lawsuit to $27 million. National wasn't used to having a number cruncher in the room. And so from that $27 million lawsuit, we walked out of there owing $750,000. It was money we legitimately owed them. And walking away, that's the biggest negotiation I've ever done, because that could have impacted all of our members across the country.
Settlement with OPIU was key to the future of this organization. And Gwenny would have had to have worked really hard to get that done. The leadership of the OPIU was arrogant, and they fully believed that we had wronged them here in Canada by leaving. And so when she was able to secure that settlement, it really meant a lot to the future of this fledgling Canadian Union.
She was also our National Secretary Treasurer from 2007 and 2016. She took our defense fund, which had been negative $1 million in 2004, and built it up so that it was $13 million and is in fact $15 million now. That is the work that Gwenne Farrell did on behalf of our national union.
Back in 2005, Andy Ross asked me to organize a major event at our Job Stewards seminar. But he asked me if I would organize this event, and he wanted it big and splashy and you know, invite all the honorary life members and invite dignitaries and do all this stuff. And I looked at him and I said, I've never done anything like this. And we somehow pulled off this amazing event, this event that absolutely there were glitches behind the scene, but no one knew.
Gwenny ran with it. She made sure that the first convention went off flawlessly. We were all really nervous about it because, of course, we wanted a good impression on the delegates so that they would like convention and keep coming back for it. And she really did an outstanding job on that. we've all learned a little bit from her along the way, but the next person to take them over will have big shoes to fill on that.
She was transformative in taking what was really a parochial organization that was steeped in the ways that have been doing things since it came into existence, and being one of the architects that changed it.
In, I think it was 2012, Gwenne and I were invited to the Los Mineros Convention, and Andy Ross was invited, even though he's retired, to the Los Mineros Convention in Mexico City.
I'd retired now, but I'd been invited to go down to the convention for the mine workers again. It was going to be the first one where Juan Linares was out of prison and could attend.
And I remember getting off the flight and we were walking towards customs, and Gwenne said, oh, I seem to have left my passport on the plane. I'll go back and get it, and I'll meet you guys in the baggage area. And so, okay. So I proceeded through customs, got my bags, and waited for Gwenne, and waited for Gwenne, and waited for Gwenne.
They wouldn't let her through into Mexico, and they detained her. And they threw her into a holding cell.
I was held in immigration holding cell overnight. They refused to let me make any phone calls. They confiscated all of my items. It was just like this horrible, chaotic night. And it's literally like one of these things that you see in a film where they throw you a rubber mattress and tell you that's what you're sleeping on the floor.
I got in touch with the Department of Foreign Affairs in Ottawa, talked to somebody there who would then talk to the Mexican authorities in Mexico. Finally, we got through Foreign Affairs and through the Mexican government that she was going to be returned to Canada the next day.
That was a very, very vivid memory. We were up very late in the night trying to pull as many strings as we could to spring her out of jail.
And when we heard that she'd been put on a plane and sent back to Canada, I said, I'm going to go meet her at the airport because she's going to need a friendly face. And as soon as she saw me when she came through the international arrivals, she just burst into tears. It was a really impactful moment to welcome her back home and give her that friendly face.
All I know is since that day, if I travel, my passport is basically tied around my neck. I'm going to miss that rare occasion that a member says, thank you, you made a difference to me. It is a story about a fellow, I won't go into the exact details, but his employer had an LTD plan and he was denied LTD. So about 3 weeks after he had received his retro check, he all of a sudden appeared in the office with a dozen roses for me. And he just wanted to say, thank you, Gwenne, I think you saved my life. That's what I'm gonna miss.
Gwenne worked tirelessly for the members of this union, and she really helped bring us forward, specifically on the international stage with her work in the global union federations, and in particular Industrial. And she's really had a lasting impact for us in that arena.
One thing I haven't spoken about is her commitment to those less fortunate us in British Columbia. Gwenne is very involved with the Hydrex Fund at BC Hydro and with the United Way, and the time and the commitment and the dedication she's brought to that really does speak to her character and her caring about other people. And we're going to be very much miss her here. Other organizations, including our national union, are very much going to miss her contributions as well. Around MoveUP and our union, I have to thank her for all of the dedication that she's brought to our union, to putting on and developing our skills around conventions, to putting on and developing our skills around the Job Steward Seminar and the whole education program, but also, of course, the work that she's done around BC Hydro that I've spoken about here.
Gwenne, I just want to wish you all the best on wherever the future takes you, and I want to personally thank you for all of your work, all of your assistance in making this organization much better for your presence.
Gwenne, you've worked tirelessly for the members of this union, and you've had a really big impact on them and on us. And you've taken on some difficult tasks, and you've come through with flying colors. And for that, we thank you. I thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done for this union.
So I think the message as I'm leaving is, over the years I've had a phenomenal opportunity to facilitate a lot of courses But I think what I want everyone to know as I leave is I've learned more from those people than I could ever have taught them. Thank you.